What's going on, guys, and welcome back. You saw the thumbnail. Series drops are happening. They're finally returning since, I think, the month of June in Marvel Snap. And today, we're going to talk about the 14 cards that are dropping in series from 5 to 4, as well as 4 to 3, and the future of series drops in Marvel Snap. I got to say, 14 cards is a freaking lot, but I'm going to talk about what I love about this, what I'm not exactly thrilled about altogether. But hey, 14 cards is 14 cards. Let's jump in. So what are series drops? Whether it's been too long for you to remember or you're brand new to Snap, essentially it is a card dropping from a series down to another, making it cheaper to acquire via tokens and just a lot easier to acquire overall. So for a while now, we knew the devs were going to say something about series drops. They've teased that they're going to address it by the end of the year, with some players assuming they would just be like, no more series drops. Happy holidays, which is luckily not the case. In fact, we do have confirmation from the devs that we're going to have a few series drops throughout next year, and they're not going to be as long of a span from what we just had from like June to now. There's not going to be a schedule on them, but they're going to plan to kind of do it similar to this one with like large batches, giving players a bunch of cards at once that are dropping all at the same time. Namely being that Spotlight caches take a while to pre-plan, and so that's my guess on some of the ones that didn't drop today, by the way, are staying there because of Spotlight caches. And they did implement this entire system, and they said that they want to keep the hype around it, which makes sense, kind of. But regardless, we are going to get more series drops, but today we have 14 of them, which is freaking awesome. We've got, I believe, 9 going from series 5 to 4, and then we've got 5 going from 4 to 3. Now let's get right to it, guys. Ripping off the band-aid. Here are the 9 cards coming on the 9th of January, and we've got a lot of them here and definitely some good cards in the mix. As you guys can see, they have like one thing in common here. They're all kind of complement cards rather than like meta-defining cards. That's probably why these select ones did get dropped, but looking at them and highlighting at a glance, I would say the best ones of the bunch. Phoenix Force is probably my favorite, going down to series 4, because you have now a pretty damn good card. If you like Mr. Negative, if you like these combo, if you get it, you win the game kind of decks, that's Phoenix Force. It's in a really good spot at the moment, and definitely some players really choose to play the play style of it. It was a season pass card in July, and I do think it has good days ahead of it, if you will. We also got Dawkin, who is one that maybe you didn't pick up either for the August season pass. He's Destroy. He's great. I think there's other Destroy cards, but he can fit into some discard and Destroy decks as well. Echo is a tech card we're starting to see people plug in to deal with the likes of something like Miss Marvel. And even Silver Samurai isn't terrible. I think Silver Samurai with Stature is pretty solid and a pretty good deck archetype altogether. Discard is going to be Zoomin in February, and if that's an archetype you love, then maybe get Silver Samurai with tokens. Other than that, most of these choices, they're not played a lot right now. They're kind of complement cards. Kitty Pride is certainly getting better, but not great, right? Ghost Spider is fun and can do some cool things, but like it's not worth spending the tokens right now. I was going to talk about it later, but I'll just address it now. Howard the Duck could have easily gone into Series 3. I think the only reason he's Series 4 is that he has a Spotlight upcoming, right? That's the only reason. I think the devs probably would have wanted to put him in there, but I think he has a Spotlight coming out. But other than that, you know, not a meta-defining card by any purpose or sense of the word. However, I do play him from time to time. Lady Deathstrike, another card that's... most of these are like flavor cards, right? Like they're fun to play in the archetype. They're not making the most meta lists, but they do have a spot in some of those decks overall and can serve some purpose. And Hitmonkey, who I think is not played enough. A good card overall, and definitely a fun one if you did not get him in his season pass as well. Now, the only miss here out of these, because I do understand, I could say they should have put all the best cards to Series 4. I get that. But as far as like a logical standpoint, I'm going to break down all the cards I wish would have dropped, and I'll get to that. But Nebula, I want to start there. I think Nebula easily could have been on this list going down to Series 4. It's a good card. It's not a gonna make you insane card, and Series 4 is probably where I think Nebula belongs now. But before I get too into that, let's look at the cards going from Series 4 to 3. Now, by far, I think Negasonic and Stature are the best on this list. I think you can run both of them in a ton of competitive decks today, and now they only cost, what, 1,000 tokens, I guess is what it would be. Now, it is important to say all of these are discontinued of Spotlight variants, making this variant alongside some of the other ones that, came out. I know Stegron just had one. These are going to be some of the rarest ones within the game because they've stated that they're not going to have these go out in any other method. They could have rotated within Spotlights, but for now, that's kind of interesting, kind of cool that we now have Spotlight variants that are no longer and they're out of rotation, right? So outside of that, Master Mold doesn't see a lot of play. Spider-Man 2099, not really a great card. We know OTAs exist and some of these could get touched up. Stegron we thought was going to drop last time. So these cards aren't exactly all meta, but Stature, Negasonic, both great. Pick them up in your collection if you don't have them by now. Now, it's pretty clear this list, they didn't get the best cards in Marvel Snap and take them down. I think they want to still make Spotlights attractive in some way, and there's definitely going to be comments down below. I wish they would have dropped blank. Totally get that. Looking at it logically, if you look at all the cards they did not drop, these are the ones that I wish they probably could have and should have dropped down, in my opinion. Looking at Series 5, we still have Nebula and Jean Grey on this list. You can see all the cards right here that remained in Series 5. A lot of these make sense. Trust me, I want them dropped, but I get that they didn't get dropped in some form or fashion. I kind of knew in my gut, Jeff was not going to drop, right? We're not going to see some of the top end cards. Alith, I don't think is going to drop down to Series 4. Maybe High Evo. But, in another vein, let's see Iron Lad, get dropped down. I think that's a card that a lot of people would love to see. Black Knight Gladiator, we're about to get Black Knight into December. Kind of question to you guys, do you want them to stay in here to get Spotlight variants, or do you want them dropped, right? Which one is it? I would assume for the majority, it's probably dropped. But Silk, let's go ahead and drop her as well. 14 cards is 14 freaking cards. Is also a W as far as the random roll on Spotlights, that slot that you can get a random S4 and S5 card. We're getting rid of some of the garbage ones now, and we have confirmation that it's going to be a shorter period from what was June to freaking now. Half a year. I would hope it'd be shorter than that. But also, there's going to be a few of them, which is great to hear, and we can start at least knowing that series drops will be a thing. I do miss the schedule aspect. They said they're not going to be scheduling these, which is kind of a bummer, right? Because I think being able to plan anything out, hell, I think all of Snap could just benefit way more from scheduling, guys. If they released the bundles and we didn't have to data mine them, and you know what to save up for, and the card drops, it's just better for the overall economy, and something, if you're watching Snap Team, I really wish you guys will consider in the future. But either way, we have a lot dropping all at once. I'm gonna leave you with this for the comment section, as this is an impromptu video. Do you want to see these large drops for cards once or twice a year? I know some people love it, some people hate it. It's only happened one time when She-Hulk and all that mess came out all at once with 15 new cards or something like that. Do you want to see that? Because I think there are kind of two camps to that discussion. Anyway, I'll be talking more about this, the decks you can play, and more about these cards all in general when I'm streaming for Twitch drops this Wednesday. So if you want a mystery event, I'll see you there. And to not miss the OTA update that'll be coming out this Thursday, be sure to subscribe down below. It means a lot. We're trying to get 125 by the end of the year. I don't know. Maybe we'll make it. Anyway, guys, impromptu video. Hopefully it was informative to you. And until the next one, have a good one. Have a great one. Happy snapping.